Welcome back to March Madness Analysis. Today we're going to break down the ACC Conference, and I'm going to start at the bottom. At number 15, I have the Demon Deacons. Wake Forest finished dead last in the ACC last year. They're losing their top 4 scorers from a season ago. They're losing 7 players to the transfer portal, 3 players to graduation. However, they're adding 4 transfers and 2 freshmen. So Steve Forbes, entering his first year with the Demon Deacons, has had great success with East Tennessee State. And Wake Forest may be optimistic for a bright future with their new head coach. At number 14, I have Boston College. Boston College lost their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th leading scorers from last year. They're returning their leading scorer in Jay Heath. They're also returning an additional starter in Stephon Mitchell. They're bringing in 4-star recruit DeMar Langford. And Jim Christian is entering his 7th year with Boston College. He's only had 1 winning season with his time there, and he should expect another losing season once again this year. At number 13, I have Notre Dame. Notre Dame had a 10-10 ACC record last year. They're losing 5 of their seniors, and their top 2 scorers, which includes one of the best big men in the country in John Mooney, who averaged a double-double last season for the Fighting Irish. They're bringing in a very weak recruiting class. I don't know where Notre Dame's production is going to come from this year. They lack talent. They lack depth. Mike Bray is entering his 21st season as the Notre Dame head coach, and in his 20 years, he's only had 2 losing record seasons, and this year he could be dealing with the worst team he's ever had. At number 12, I have Pitt. Pitt's losing Trey McGowens to the transfer portal, but some seem to think that the departure is addition by subtraction for the Panthers. Pitt has improved a little bit each year since the welcoming of new head coach Jeff Capel. They're returning a young and experienced team, including players in Justin Champagnie, Xavier Johnson, and Audie Stoney. They're bringing in 2 4-star recruits in John Hughley and William Jeffress, who were both in ESPN's Top 100 at some point. Jeff Capel's 3rd year should be slightly better than the last, and Pitt should at least compete for a middle ACC ranking. At number 11, I have Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech had a slightly below average ACC record last year, which included some big wins. They're returning 3 of their top 4 scorers from last year and also bringing in 2 4-star recruits to replace their losses. It would make sense that if they're returning most of their team, you would think they should be better this year, and they could potentially rise on my list. But they have new players, young players, and a new coach. Mike Young is entering his 2nd season with Virginia Tech, and he's still kind of in the rebuilding process. This isn't exactly their year just yet. Maybe in the future, but not quite yet. I think they'll have a hard time competing with the many talented middle-of-the-pack ACC teams this year. At number 10, I have Clemson. Clemson's very similar to Virginia Tech. Last year they had a few huge wins, including a win against 3rd-ranked Duke, 5th-ranked Louisville, 6th-ranked Florida State, and their first win at North Carolina in school history. Unfortunately for them, they had just as many poor losses, including Minnesota, Wake Forest, Georgia Tech twice, and Virginia Tech twice. They're losing Tevin Mack from a season ago. They're returning 4 of their top 5 scorers from last year and bringing in 3 4-star recruits to help back them up. The problems for Clemson is inconsistency, very poor perimeter shooting, and they're still mostly a young team. So much like Virginia Tech, I think their future is bright, but this year isn't quite their year just yet. At number 9, I have NC State. NC State's coming off a 20-12 season. They're returning 5 of their top 7 scorers, including really good and undervalued seniors in DJ Funderburk, Braxton Beverly, and Devin Daniels. They're bringing in the number 68 nationally ranked recruit in Cam Hayes. They could be underrated for the amount of talent and seniority they have. However, they struggled on defense last year, and NC State has a tendency of disappointing their fans. Kevin Cleats is entering his 4th year as the Wolfpack head coach, and this is the year he's been waiting for. At number 8, I have Syracuse. Syracuse is losing an excellent player in Elijah Hughes, but they're pretty much returning the rest of their lineup. Buddy Boeheim and Joseph Girard add another year's worth of experience. Merrick Dolezaj also returns and improved throughout last season. I think he's an underappreciated player for the Orange this year. Syracuse needs 84th ranked recruit Kadary Richmond to replace Elijah Hughes, and if he does so, I think Syracuse has all the pieces to success this year. Jim Boeheim is entering his 44th year with Syracuse, so he clearly knows how to succeed in the conference. At number 7, I have Miami. Miami should be much improved from last year. They're returning a healthy Chris Likes, who missed a few games last year. and they're returning 4 of their 5 starters from a season ago. They will have 7 seniors on the team, plus they're bringing in 2 top 100 recruits. They have a great mix of talent and experience. I see success this year for the Hurricanes. Jim Larrañaga spent the last 9 years as the Miami head coach, and right now I have them at 7. At number 6, I have Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech surprisingly had a fantastic season last year, finishing 5th in the ACC. They're returning 4 of their top 5 scorers from last season, and they should be hungry to make the tournament for the first time in over a decade. Georgia Tech should be better than last season, but they will need to get a lot better if they want to finish on the upper half of the ACC conference. Josh Pastner is entering his 5th season as the Georgia Tech head coach, and he seems to be turning the program around. At number 5, I have Louisville. Louisville had a great season last year, finishing 14th in the country with a 24-7 record. They're losing their top 4 leading scorers from last season, including Jordan Nwora, who was on the All-ACC team and averaged 18 points per game. This will be a brand new Louisville squad as they bring in 2 4-star recruits and the top JUCO transfer in Jay Scrubb. Chris Mack has spent most of his career at Xavier but has had success in his 2 years at Louisville, and he should expect another competitive season. At number 4, I have North Carolina. North Carolina had a horrible season last year, finishing with a 14-19 record. The only reason I have them in the top 4 is because I don't see any team below them that has near the talent the Tar Heels have this year. I'm not high on Carolina in the preseason. They're losing Cole Anthony from a team that finished last in the ACC last year. However, they are returning Garrison Brooks, an ACC Player of the Year candidate, and Armando Bacot. They're bringing in the number 3 nationally ranked recruiting class, including 5 players in ESPN's top 65. They will be starting all former 5-star recruits, so this is a very talented team. That's why I have them at 4. Roy Williams should quickly flip this team around and land the Tar Heels in the top 4 this year. At number 3, competing with North Carolina, is Florida State. Florida State finished with a 26-5 overall record last year, but lost 3 of their starters. They will return MJ Walker and Malik Osborne, in addition to 7 fairly talented seniors. They're bringing in the number 3 nationally ranked recruit in Scotty Barnes. They should be expecting a top 4 ACC finish this year. Leonard Hamilton is entering his 19th season with the Seminoles, and they are always an elite ACC team. And at number 2, I have the Blue Devils. Duke will have a very different team than they did last year. They're losing Trey Jones, Vernon Carey, Cassius Stanley, Jack White, Javon DeLaurier, and Justin Robinson. They're returning Jordan Goldwire, Matthew Hurt, and Wendell Moore, plus they're bringing in the number 2 nationally ranked recruiting class, including 6 players in ESPN's top 55. Duke will most likely have a freshman-led team, which isn't too different than what they've had the last couple of years. Mike Krzyzewski will keep the Blue Devils in the top 25 throughout the year, as he always does, and by the end of the year, they should be a national title caliber team. And finally, at number 1, I have the Cavaliers. Virginia is returning 3 starters from last year, and that is Kai Clark, Jay Huff, and Thomas Wolden-Nenzai. They're bringing in an elite Marquette transfer in Sam Hauser. They're also bringing in a really good recruiting class. The question for the Cavaliers is, can they play a little more consistent than they did last year? If they can play to their potential every single game, I think they're a top 5 team and a legitimate national title contender. And that is my ACC rankings. You'll get a top 25, a preseason top 25 in the upcoming future, hopefully in the next couple weeks. But this is my ACC, and that's all I have for now, and I'll see you next week.